Okay guys, welcome back. So JB Weld is at about 48 hours to fully set. It's fully hardened now, so what I'm gonna do is gonna take a razor blade and cut them out. And there we go. Okay, and what I'm gonna do next is use the small bench grinder just to trim off the excess glue and squeeze that from around so I don't make the valves any larger than what they actually are right now. So. Okay, I think that should do the trick just fine. Okie doke, let's try to give these, there we go, let's try to reassemble this and see if this works. I really hope it does. Because if not, I will look like a complete idiot. Let's have a look. Okay. Moment of truth. Not quite there yet. Okay, I'm a little bit frustrated, I must admit. Because it looks like it's still leaking. As a matter of fact, I can even feel it. Water going, air going through. Okay, I'm clueless. Absolutely clueless what to do. Yeah, after I put the manifold back on, there's absolutely zero pressure being generated here. I am a little bit lost, to be honest with you guys. Okay guys, what I've done is I've wired the motor, and temporarily of course. I just want to run this under power for a little bit of time and see if under power the situation is a bit different, or what's happening. This is probably going to be a bit loud, so I might need to turn the volume down. Okay. Well, it is certainly pumping air, and it looks like it's better when it's under power. But when I turn it by hand, let's have a look. Yeah. When I turn it by hand, there's lots of leakage. But when it's under power, it looks like it might be a bit better. So we might decide to roll with that, we'll see. Welcome back. So, a couple more days have passed of me pondering. Looks like under power, this thing is performing much better than it does when it is just spun by hand. So next job I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drag the tank back in here, do some inspection on it, and make sure it's good, and hopefully we'll be able to mount the compressor to the tank today. So let's get that on the road. Okay guys, so here's our tank. It's a bit difficult to film it because it's big and space is a constraint here. So anyway, it's a regular old tank, except it was made goodness knows how many years ago. So compressed air goes in here. Okay, it goes into the tank. You also have a copper pipe over there that goes into the pressure relay. That right through here, you probably can't see it, but that serves to depressurize the pump once the tank switches off because it's reached the operational pressure. Then from here, from the tank itself, you have a pressure gauge and a what I call a panic valve. This should pop open. Basically, this is a emergency valve, so it opens if the pressure goes too high, and you have your main exit for the air right here. So what I need to do is I need to figure, and from here, by the way, there should be a little pipe that goes into the pressure relay that actually monitors the pressure and switches the compressor off once the correct pressure is reached. So one thing I want to do is I want to inspect this tank, because I'm pretty sure there's some water and maybe oil inside, and from what I can see, it does not have a water drain. So, and it is a really heavy piece of you know what, so it's a bit of a chore to try to lift the thing. So stand by and I'll see what I can do. Okay, so yeah, there is a water drain right here. I thought there wasn't. So let me try to open this valve and see if anything comes out. There's obviously no air inside. Oh yeah, look at that. Call me crazy, but that looks like oil. Okay, let me just tilt the tank back and forth a couple of times to make sure I get all the water out. Okay, so our compressor did the wee-wee, so I need to clean that up. Okay, and that's the way it's supposed to work, at least in theory. This pipe over here connects straight to the tank. Now, from what I can see here, I'm missing a fitting. Where it went, I have no idea, but let's try to find one. There we go. The motor is back on. And so is the belt. Okay, I can't for the life of me find the fitting that goes in here that allows this hose to connect, that allows this pipe to connect to the tank. So what I'm going to do, at least for the time being, is I'm just going to use a hose barb, and I'm just going to connect the hose from here to here. Not ideal, but at least on a sort of short-term basis, that'll be good enough. There we go. Right, so let's have a look how much hose I actually need. I need hose about up to here. So make a mark, take it off, cut it off. There we go. That should do the trick. So another problem I have is right here. This is the exit from the tank for pressure measurement and regulation purposes, and this is the pressure relay. So normally, what was in here in the first place is there was a small copper pipe that went from here to here with compression fittings on either end. Guess what? I managed to lose that pipe. I don't know where it is. I can't find it. So I'm going to do the exactly same thing. Hose barbs on either end and hose from one end to the other. Okay, there we go. Again, not perfect, but it should do the trick. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wire the motor back up and give it a bit of a test run and see how everything works. Make sure the pressure gauge is operating correctly. I do have an open port here, so it's just gonna be dumping all the air out, but I'll be able to put my finger on it to create a little bit of pressure. So wish me luck. Let's hope this works. Okay, well, here goes nothing. Okay, I'm gonna call that a success. Everything seems to be working in order. I have no idea if there's any leaks because of the noise of the compressor I can't hear anything. So, and I think the compressor is actually spinning. Yeah, it is. It's actually spinning the wrong way. So with a 3-phase motor, if you need to reverse power, all you do is you swap 2 phases around. So that's what I'm gonna do. Give me a second. Let's see if that fixes it. Okay. What I need to do now is I need to make sure that I need to close this open port over here and let the compressor build some pressure. Okay, so I've removed the open port and closed it up. I'm gonna leave this, what I call a dump valve, open, and as the compressor runs, I'm gonna close it and see how everything works. Okay. Okay, so so let the compressor run a little bit. It's only like 12 psi, however much that is. I'm just seeing. I can't hear any leaks. That's a good sign, right? Hi guys, welcome back. Well, last time I was filming, once again my camera died on me without telling me that it was dead, so I'm not quite sure yet of how far I got along. But I did run the compressor. I ran it up to about 40 psi and I've switched it off. It took quite a long time to get to that pressure, so that's a bit alarming. Another thing is I switched it off, left it for a couple of days, and like 2 or 3 days later it was still at 15 or 20 psi. So there's no pressure loss, or very little pressure loss at all. So there's maybe a tiniest leak somewhere, but I'm not entirely sure where it is. So as far as sealing is concerned, that's good. But what I want to test now is well, the safety equipment on this compressor. So let me sort of show you around what I'm doing. So what I did is I've connected the pump on the line. I'm skipping the tank whatsoever, and that air line is going over there. Now what I have on this side, with the line coming in straight from the pump, is the gauge, what I call the emergency dump valve. I'm not entirely sure how this is called. This is a pressure relief valve. Once the pressure gets too high, it's supposed to open and not let the pressure build to insane amounts. And the other part is going to the relay, the pressure relay. So I want to check a couple of things. First of all, of course, is the pressure relay working fine? At the moment, by the way, there's no power, there's no electricity wired into the relay itself. It will just be air pressure that will be powering it. And I want to see if this dump valve is actually operating the way it's supposed to. And another thing, of course, is I need to check if this compressor if the pump can indeed reach 100 psi. Because if it's not, I'm pretty much out of ideas, and I'm just gonna probably scrap this pump and maybe buy a new one. So, I don't know, let's give this a test run. Oh, by the way, and this is just a small silencer I have. It's basically a can with wooding inside that I've connected to the intakes. I've found that it reduces the noise a little bit. Well, I will not know how well that went until I actually watched the video footage. I did see the pressure relays click on and off, and I did hear hissing coming out of the dump valve. So I presume it's running okay, but I need to double check on things. Okay, so I'm not quite sure yet. So yeah, let me just show you and prove to you that the pressure relay indeed is working. Okay, so this is the wiring that I've jury-rigged at the moment into a three-phase supply. This is the pressure relay itself, and all it does is it measures the pressure that's coming through here, and it disconnects these contactors once the set pressure is reached. I've moved the pressure gauge over here, and I've got the dump valve as well, so let's have a look. Okay, that's pretty good. What I'm gonna do, my camera that I'm using actually has a slow motion function, but it does not record sound when I do this. So I'm gonna run this one more time, and I will actually do it in slow motion so I can see at what pressure does the relay actually switch off. Back in a second. Okay, that doesn't seem too bad. I'll have a look at the footage in a second. But one thing I found is that this dump valve seems to be opening, well, very, very early. I'm not sure why that is, and I probably need to have a look at it in greater detail, so I might need to pull it apart. So, yeah, let's take this out and have a look at what makes it tick. Okay, the way I believe these are made is there's just a spring with a ball inside. Yeah, that's all it is. It's just a spring with a ball, and of course the pressure on the spring provides a seal inside there against the ball bearing, and that's what tends to seal it. And once eventually the pressure gets too high, the pressure against the spring gets high enough, it pushes it out of the way and allows the air to dump as an emergency. But not sure if you saw, there was quite a lot of gunk caked on the ball itself, so that kind of explains why it wasn't sealing properly in the first place. So I'm just going to give it a rough cleaning, and that's it. Again, our brake cleaner is almost finished, but it should do the trick just for one more job. But it's quite an important aspect to keep in mind when you're reassembling these things. This screw on the top there compresses the spring. So the tighter this is, the higher the pressure must be in order for it to open and to dump the pressure out. So it needs to be set quite accurately to the pressure at which you want this to pop open. So the way I'm going to test this, I'm going to plug it back into where it's supposed to be and run a couple more tests on it until I can get it just right where it opens at 105 psi, because 105 is the pressure at which this is the design pressure for this tank I'm working with. So let me just screw it back in, and I'm going to bring it back in when we are actually testing the thing. So here we are, we're looking at the pressure gauge. At the moment I've got the blow-off valve in probably its loosest setting, so it should blow at the lowest possible pressure. So I'm going to slowly, as I turn the compressor on, I'm going to slowly feed it in until the pressure reaches about 105 psi or so, and that's when I'm gonna tighten it and call it a day. So let's give this a test. it one more time, make sure it works. There we go. Yeah, that can't be moved now. Let's give this another run. That's jumping around 100 psi mark the way it's supposed to be. So that's good. So now I guess the only thing to do is to wire everything back up, wire the pressure relay, and see how this goes. Okay guys, so there we go. I've wired everything back up. I've wired the pressure relay in. I've plugged the pump back on and put everything in its right place, and hopefully everything should run just fine now. So I think this is the big test. So we're gonna turn it on and let it run for a while and see how everything works. Okay, so two problems. First problem is at 100 psi the pressure relay did not switch off, and the second problem is that at 100 psi this blow-off valve is actually leaking air. There we go. Okay, so I think I've adjusted the pressure relay enough. I just need to adjust the blow-off valve. Okay, so that should be about right. However, there is one thing I'm concerned with, and that's heat. I mean, this isn't smell-o-vision, so you can't have a sense of what I'm talking about here, but you know that sort of smell of heat? Well, yeah, this exhaust port, this exhaust port is actually horribly hot. Very, very hot. The compressor itself is not bad. The cylinders are pretty hot too. So I might need to rig up some sort of a cooling solution for this. That might involve like a fan that turns on whenever the compressor is on or something like that. I mean, this pulley is a fan, at least in theory. As you can see, the spokes are angled, so it is blowing some air through, but not nearly enough. However, well, the compressor itself is working quite nicely. So hopefully now, if I hook up one of my air tools, it should work just fine. And yes, the air tools work fine. Alright guys, I think this is a good enough test for now. Probably a good point to end this video. I have no idea how long it's gonna be. But the compressor works. The only problem is the heat. I am getting quite a lot of heat. But we'll be trying to fix that sometime soon, okay? So for the time being guys, thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.